All right, peace, peace. I like to say, excuse me, I like to say Shabbat Shalom to each one of you. Um, this is the day that the Creator has given me. I don't know about you, but this is the symbolic day of rest. It comes in Friday night to Saturday night, evening to evening. Um, I'd like to thank each one of you that is here, that will come in, that will watch this later on during the week. I'd like to say happy Shabbat to each one of you. And to each one of you that do not believe in the Shabbat, I like to say welcome, welcome, welcome to the ITFTR Network LLC. You see at the bottom of the screen, then we have a Cash App. But also, if you would like to donate, you can also use that. You can donate to that Cash App. Those who would like to support the page, because in the next month and a half, we're going to improve this page even greater. So if you would like to be a supporter to this page, you can give to this Cash App. You can see that I'm scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It's $INDIG 15. That's $INDIG 15. So if you would like to help support this page so we can improve the page to do more things on the page, we will be happy to welcome your donation. Also, we're also getting into some other areas as well. So be looking out for that. You know, we're not going to just be coming on the Shabbat. I'm also be coming doing some other things as well on this platform. Um, so be looking out for that as well. Also, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. If I have 5 people, make sure I should have 5 likes. If I have 10, I should have 10. If I have 20, I should have 20 likes. It helps YouTube push the the, the lesson through YouTube streets to allow others to others to know that we're here. So make sure you hit that like button. If you're here, it don't cost you anything, but just hit the like button. So it's cool. So we go without no further ado, let me open up with a moment of edification. We thank the Creator for everything that He has done, the things that He will do. Thank the Creator for the walk that I have walked through the journey of my life. I thank Him for the protection, the guidance, the mercy that was shown to me. Was that I was able to get to this point and be able to get to the next point. I thank the Creator for the elevation of knowledge of the things that I have to come across, I have to get into to learn on my own through others. That I do understand that family did not do all what they were supposed to have done because family was doing their thing. So I thank the Creator for what He has done for me to the point of where I'm at right now in my life. And I ask the Creator to continue to move me, bless me, continue to elevate me, so as that I will be able to increase even more in this journey, on this journey, and to be able to touch and reach others along the way in my journey to my Sabbath that I'm trying to get to. So we thank the Creator and all these edifying words, Salah, Hallelujah, Salah. So, I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to start into um, recapping back what it was being said because I think a lot of people have their own opinion at what they believe would happen in the beginning of Genesis. Genesis means genealogy. It means the beginning of something. And I believe that when when we don't understand, when we don't properly read, then we can't be properly educated. Educate. We cannot be properly educated into the thinking of what we need to think and how we need to think. Excuse me. A lot of us we get to the point that we read with a narrative already that we already pre-propose into our thoughts, but we don't get into the breaking down of where these actual words come from. So when we study within a box of how we were taught. And we'll say, well, no, I'm not studying like that. Yes, you are. All you have to do is listen to yourself. And you'll realize that you are literally keeping the narrative that has been going on for a long time. Case in point, Genesis 1:26, when it says, let us create man in our image, according to our likeness, and give them dominion. So that's male and female being created together. But then I had a friend of mine tell me, well, look at verse 27. It said he create he, him, male and female. He create he, them. And he pointed out the word him because he said, well, man was created before the female. See, that's asinine. And the reason why I say that's asinine is because, okay, so the male was here, and then when you go to chapter 2, he's pulling a female out of the male. Well, watch this. So the female got your rear. So the female got the male's literal rear because there was no female here. So Adam taught the female everything that she's supposed to know. I really want you to pay attention to how you think. As if the female was made way after the male. So the animals and everything else was created before the female. So my question now becomes, when I read chapter 2, starting at verse 15 on down, I'm reading about a marriage. I'm reading about a male and a female being married. Because how can the female be the helpmeet to the male if the female was just created? That means if she just literally came from the male, that means she's brand new on the earth. She's brand new. That means her beginning started from the male. I want you to pay attention to how you think. Her beginning was the male. And then we say, oh, well, they was married when he brought her to him. So if I take that literal and the creator took everything from you, men, male, and then formed the female. and bring that to you. Think about it now. He took something from you, a rib, but you're not missing an egg. You're not missing no ribs. But the male was here first. That's the argument of the chicken. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? See, we always get to the point of I came first, so that makes me a ruler over you. And so now the female say, well, I don't need to listen to you, blah, 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 blah. See, that's the male and the female. That's the war between the male and the female. Because one wants to be dominant over the other instead of order being imposed, meaning there's only one purpose, and that's the purpose that the Creator made who? Male and female. But there are different roles. The male has his role into the purpose, and the female has her roles into the purpose. And both supposed to come together into union, what we call unity. This is the thing. This is the thing that this is the thing that we don't want to accept. And we don't want to deal with the definition of words. And we say, well, words change through definition. Well, it does. We don't want to deal with where these words come from. We just want to deal with the obstacles of how we think. And that's the problem. So if the male produced the female, see, then that means that the female is a servant to that male. Because the female came from the male. That's what you believe. That's how you believe. Because if anything came from something, that makes that thing a servant to that thing. And the female is not a servant to the male. She is the male's assistant. That's what a help me is. That's why I say I think a lot of you all get this whole thing mixed up and bungled. You're just throwing it out of whack because of how you believe in the narrative that you were told. An assistant assists. A servant only assists through what? Through order. But assistant, she has the same playbook as the what? As the actual manager. A servant don't have the same playbook as the manager. Because if you have a job, you don't sit at the table with the CEO. Let's grab some things before I move forward into part 4. Because I think a lot of you have this thing bungled in your mind into a narrative that you don't even understand what you're saying out your mouth. She is your assistant. She's there to aid you, not slave for you. So if she was there to aid you, how did she come from you? Let's put this thing on the table right now. You can say, well, that still don't mean that she didn't come from me. It does mean that she did not come from you. Because everything that the Creator made serves him. The woman does not serve you. She assists you. She has just the same power as you, but her role into that power is different from your role as a male. But when y'all two learn to bring those things together, that's what makes a man. That's why they call her woman, female. Oh boy. Because if the man somehow can't continue, then that female will step in and move that thing forward. But as a servant on your job, you don't have that opportunity. Because if the CEO cannot continue, they don't depend on you. Only thing they depend on you to do is to keep moving the product. But to make sure the business move forward in the product, the investment and all that, that's the people that's at the top. So who's next to the CEO is the assistant CEO. That has nothing to do with a worker. That's different. That has nothing to do with the general managers or the managers. That's different. So when you don't understand your point of origin, you come up with all kind of BS of how you think and the things that you believe in. That's why also when we move to chapter 2, there's another doctrine saying that the Creator also just he made a second man. There's no second man that was made. After the Sabbath, the Creator never created anything. He never done anything after the Sabbath. There was no more work being done. There was nothing else being created. But you are saying, but you have people say that there were two men created. There were multiple men created on day 6. There were different types of men being created on day 6. And this is why we have to be very careful at the doctrine that we follow. Because you got a lot of people who teach that surface stuff, but they don't go deep down into the words of what the book is actually saying and what the book is actually displaying. That's why when you read in chapter 2, verse 15 on down, it talks about a marriage. Adam, the male, coming. Now he's ruling without the female. So now the Creator is allowing the female to now come into his life. And not just a female, it's a certain particular type of female. See, a lot of jokers just go out there and just pull a woman because how good she look or what she got going on, whatever. But they don't look at the quality of that female. Adam had to find the quality woman. that's going to help him get to the Sabbath. That's going to help him stay within the what? Tree of life mindset. So once when that woman was presented to him, they went through what was called, he took her, he grabbed hold to her, he took her within the temple, he married her. They went through the temple, what is called the temple agreement of marriage. And after the temple agreement of marriage, then they consummate the marriage, meaning they had sex. And after they had sex, then what happened? The female, the male began to notice the qualities of the woman that he had. And he called it out. He recognized the character of her. That's the bone of my bone, the flesh of my flesh. He realized the character of her. That ain't saying she literally came from his bone. That's stupid. He's recognizing the characteristics of that female. And when he recognized the characteristics of that female, he began to notice some things of her that is in him that can benefit him, that can help him. So then what took place after that? They began to, that's when it says, then shall a man leave his father and mother, meaning he have to leave, the male have to leave his father and mother because he should already have what is called what? Something secure for her to be in. And that's the reason why the Creator made a garden. And the garden was the male's house. And when the garden was the male's house, he secured that house for her. Then when it says that they were naked, the word naked means bare. There was nothing needed to be added into that marriage because they was following the protocol of the Creator. And they were not ashamed. Meaning, guess what? If I'm not ashamed, that means it don't make a difference. I'm announcing to the public that this is my wife. I'm not ashamed of her. I recognize her. I understand her. Hold on for a second. So they didn't need to testify anything. They were following the protocol, the plan that was set before them. That's period. They understood that. So we now go to the third chapter. We now get into the third chapter of Genesis. And this is where we are going to get into the house of witchcraft. We're going to get into the house of witchcraft. And this is part 4. Because a lot of people don't even realize that the house has been changed into what is called witchcraft. A lot of us, we ignore the very nature of witchcraft. Now, I want to see if I could do this right here real quick. I want to see if I could do this right here real quick. Give me a second. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm about to pull it up. You need to stop. Spelling. Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't want to take too much time on this. Let me go back all the way up to the beginning. Because I wasn't planning on doing this. I wasn't planning on doing this point. Yeah, casting a spell. Okay, spell, to spell, use as a verb. Let me put it right here. And I want you to pay attention to this because this is right here what's going on in chapter 3. It says, this was going on in chapter 3 right here. Let me see. I don't know why this thing ain't pulling it up. Let me hold on for 1 second. Okay. Why is it keeping me right here? I must be in the wrong thing. I must be in the other thing because it's not. This is Yahoo. That's why I don't want Yahoo. Get out of Yahoo. Let me get out of Yahoo. me see if this does it. Yeah, I think this is it. All right. Um, all right, this is it right here. You can see it right here. It says to spell is when you take over someone else's job temporarily. You can see that for yourself. Um, is when you is when you take over is to take the place of a person at some work or labor to relieve another by taking a turn at work. That is what you call a literal spell. All right. Now, when we're talking about when we're talking about um, the spell, we're talking about something that you do. You take over something that belongs to someone temporarily when you're not authorized to do so. So now, like I say at the beginning, you have the male and the female being created together. In chapter 126, 27, it specifically roles. That's why it says male and female. It's giving you the roles. It's giving you the roles of the male and the female. It's letting you know that neither one of them have the same role, but they roles supposed to come together. The roles, ROLES. It's supposed to come together. If you coming in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the like button, please. All right. And if you like to be a supporter of the channel, there's a cash app at the bottom. You can let me know that you would like to be a donator to the channel to because we're going to begin to upgrade on this channel next month. You should see something greater on this channel. We're going to be doing other things on this channel as well. So he's creating the male and the female together. And in verse 27, 127, he's showing you Genesis 127, he's showing you that there is a split within the role. The roles. The male has his role, the female has his role, or her role. And they supposed to those roles supposed to be able to work together in conjunction of themselves in order to bring them together as one. That's what makes them become a man. Okay? The male cannot be a man without that female, and that female cannot be a helpmeet without the male. So both need each other. So now you can see also in chapter 2, when we go to chapter 2, the creator stopped the work. He stopped the development of the work after the Sabbath. Then you can see the garden was created also during that time. And what happened? Once when the garden was created, he put man there. All this was taking place in chapter 1. It's just giving you chapter 2. It's just showing you what was taking place in chapter 1. So now the male has a home, has a place that belongs to him. Then that male is now he has to be the one that's already operating within that place. Before a female, he brings a female within that space. That's how it's supposed to be done. The male do not supposed to have a female, bringing a female in in order to struggle with him. Things are already supposed to be secure before he has that helpmeet. Now, once when he have that person to come in to help him once when he secured the things for himself, then that's when the creator brought the female to him. Because now he's ready for marriage. This is what takes place. He's now ready for marriage. But a lot of people, they want to bring the female into the position of himself before he even become established. And then that female struggles with him doing his establishing of himself. And then they have these babies and they don't know what to do with the babies. They don't know how to take care of the babies. They think they're being a father or whatever to the babies, but they're not. So then, once when he's established within his own perimeter of himself and of his own place, now the Creator brings that female to him as a helpmeet. What is she helping him with? She's helping him keep up what he already was given and was already established. See, he didn't bring her in to struggle with him. He brought her in to because she is there to help him keep things established and to help expand him. Period. So once when he finds that particular type of female that has that mindset for that, he began to now take hold to her. He takes her into the temple. They get married. After the marriage ceremony, they consummate. After the consummation, what happens? They connect with each other. He leaves his father and mother. He don't need them no more. And now he cleaves unto his own wife. And now the husband, the male, begins to announce before the world or the public, this is his wife. There's not a shame. So now when we go to chapter 3, this is my part 4, we now go to chapter 3, verse 1, and this is what it says. Let me grab it real quick. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, it says, now the serpent, who was more cunning than any other beast that was on the earth. The serpent was more cunning than any other beast. He was more subtle than any other beast of the field which the Creator had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have the Creator said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, let's pay attention to this real quick. Because if you notice something, the serpent asked the woman about every tree. Now, I want you to pay attention to that. Every tree. The serpent did not say specifically that tree. Let's read it again. Now, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Creator had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, has the Creator said, you shall not eat of what? Every tree of the garden. Why did he use the word every? Why was he specifically pointing out every tree? See, the serpent was more than likely peeping game of her mindset. The serpent was seeing exactly where she were, what her commitments would be like.
Testing her.
You said what now?
So he was testing her.
Yeah, he was peeping game about it. Yeah, he was testing her. He wanted to see exactly the foundation that she was standing on.
Okay, so I have a question. So when it says the serpent, are we looking at that as literally a serpent, or is it to be considered like something else? Because if you say serpent, that's an animal like a beast, and beasts don't speak. So
remember Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun.
right.
So if you don't see a talking snake today, what makes you think a snake talked back then?
Well, I just wanted just to clarify that because some may say, well, serpent and
The word serpent simply means the word nakash. And the nakash simply means a whisperer. So you're talking about someone who whispers, and the whisperer is one who enchants. Someone who does enchantments or witchcraft. I brought that out last week.
I remember. Okay.
So we can look at that literal, but then you have to look at the scripture where it says that there's nothing new under the sun. So if no snake talked then, today you ain't got no talking snake back then. This is a person who's speaking enchantments. So the serpent was more likely peeping the mindset of her. Wanted to see exactly where her stance was, what she was doing, where her commitment, where her loyalty lies. He wanted to see what she knew. So now, he wanted to see, meaning to challenge her stance. Are you for your husband? Or are you against your husband? See? Because the rules lies on the husband for the protection and the provision of that house. That lies upon the male. So he asked her, did the Creator say for you not to eat off every tree in the garden? Because the garden was your home. So was you not able, was it against the rule or the law for you to eat off every tree? And that's what the woman said. Let's go to verse 2. She said, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. Now let's stop right there. Notice what she said. We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. Did she misrepresent her and her husband's stance or position that the Creator commanded them? No, she didn't misrepresent that. Because she said we can eat of the results of the garden. Because that's what the fruit means. The fruit is the result. When you see a fruit, an apple is a result of a seed. Peaches and pears and vegetables, the things that you literally eat, those are the result of that seed. A baby is the result of the seed. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hold on. All right, I'm back. See, everything at the end of something that was being created that comes from literally a seed is the result. So when she said we can eat from the fruit of the trees, all right, she said we can eat. But she said we may eat of the fruit. That means the result of whatever that thing produces. That's what we can eat. It's okay. That's lawful. That's lawful. We can do that. We can eat from that. We can have that. Okay. Then she said, so she didn't misrepresent that, because if you go to Genesis 2:16, it tells you. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to Genesis 2:16. Genesis 2:16 says what? Let me go down. Genesis 2:16 says, and the Creator commanded man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely. See, so she wasn't misrepresenting anything that the Creator gave. She was not. She was on point. All right? All the trees were one. in that garden. They were all of the same purpose. They were not of different purposes that was in that garden. There was no separation. That's why they could have ate of every tree, because it did not move them from the position that they were supposed to be in. Now, whatever you say the trees were, that's fine. I'm not getting into that just yet. But those trees that were in that garden that they could have ate from were all of the same purpose, or they were keeping them in the purpose that they were supposed to stay in. It was not there to move them from anything. All right, it wouldn't have knocked them off. That's why I say those trees were of one mind. There was no separation, and plus those trees were in their rim for them to devour. It was of the same rim for them to participate in. All those trees in verse 3 that Eve, that the woman, that the female spoke on, they were of the same rim. That's why in Genesis 2:17 it lets you know that those trees were of the same rim. It kept them it kept them in the mindset that they're supposed to have been in. Okay? Now, but they still were not there for them to misuse the results. Because a lot of times you could gain something, but you could misuse it. You can misuse it. They still have to be very mindful at how they use the results of those trees. They have to be very mindful of that. Okay? So now, let's go to a couple of scriptures. Let's go to Psalms 139, verse 1, 2, and verse 24. Psalms 139, verse 1, 2, and 24. And then we're going to jump over to Proverbs 16 and 3. That's Proverbs 16 and 3. And then we're going to jump into Proverbs 21 and 2. And then we're going to jump over into Proverbs 4 and 26. That's Proverbs 4 and 26. And then we're going to hit Job 31 and 1. And then we're going to jump over into Isaiah 55 and 7. Let's prove these points. Let's go to Psalms 139, verse 1 and 2 real quick. Let's prove these points. Because we have to be mindful that even though you were given something, you still have to be, you cannot misuse it just because you have control over it. You can't just misuse the things just because you have control over it. That's like you having control over an animal and you just misuse the animal. See, you misuse the animal. That's why those who just go around killing the animals, see, they don't have dominion over the animals like we do. They don't have the dominion. We were given dominion over these animals, not them. That's why they don't care. They're going to kill, destroy, and whatever they do, it don't matter. And so what we have done, we have started basing our lives according to their lives. Well, they do it, that means I can do it. No, you're different. So now, Psalms 139, verse 1. To the chief musician of Psalms of David, the Creator, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my what? Down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. See, the Creator, when the Creator gives you something, the Creator knows knows whom it is being given to. So it's not that you don't your purpose is your purpose is not known. That's not true. The Creator knows the purpose that you were given. The problem is, do you understand the purpose? Because everything that when you was given something, the Creator gives it to you, and don't think that the Creator don't know what was given to you. Let's jump down to verse 24. Verse 24 says, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. See, I have to search me out. I have to question me to the Creator and ask the Creator to show me some things of myself. Because I don't want, hold on, headset was on wrong. I don't want me to miss the tree. I don't want to miss the Sabbath. That's the everlasting. It's the Sabbath. I want to get to the Sabbath where the Creator is resting. So I have to know me. That's why the things that I have to make sure, like in what Eve said, there could be no separation with you and the creation of the Creator. You have to make sure you keep that thing in progress or in motion the way it was created to be in. I cannot be sitting trying to do some things and I'm out of line. My mindset is whacked out. I have to search me out. Okay? Let's go to Proverbs 16 and 3. Proverbs 16 and 3. This is what it says here. It says, Proverbs 16 and 3, it says, commit thy works unto the Creator, and thy thoughts shall be what? Established. See, everything that the Creator gave me, I have to commit it back to Him. That's why if you take the story of Samson family wanted him to commit to a female of his people, but he wanted Delilah that was not of his people. And he ran after that female and he got trapped by the Philistines. So what happened with Samson? They found out through that female where his strength lies, and it was in his locks. And they cut his locks off and he had no more power. So he had to commit. If you go back to the end of the story, he was chained up against the poles of the stadium. And he prayed and asked the Creator for one more time to commit the strength back to him for his will. And Samson he killed all those Philistines in that stadium, including himself.
So that was more like retribution for what he knew he did wrong.
Correct. And that's why when we understand the works that was given to us, we have to be very careful in how we handle that thing, because that thing is going to produce results. Now, when that purpose is producing results, how am I going to entertain those results? Am I going to entertain those results simply because of my own personal interest? Or I'm going to entertain it according to how the Creator established it? This is the thing we have to remember. And this is why Eve in chapter 3, verse 3, she was not out of bounds. Because she said, all the trees that's in the garden, in the midst of the garden, we may eat from it. And I just proved that in Genesis 2:17. Let's grab the next scripture. Let's go to Proverbs 21 and 2. Let's go to Proverbs 21 and 2. We have to be mindful that we keep everything in progress of what the Creator has designed. What you got?
Proverbs 21 and 2. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Most High pondereth the hearts.
So you see that every man is right in his own eyes. That just simply means one thing. I'm looking at how I see it, like I told you at the beginning. You got a lot of people think that the woman literally came from the rib of a man. That's asinine. They literally think that the Creator created after the Shabbat. That's asinine again when he said on the Sabbath day, he ended all his work. There was no more work being done after the Sabbath. None. You can't even find it. You can't even find it. So, every man is right according to the narrative of how he thinks, how he or she thinks. And they'll end up doing asinine things. You'll see them get caught up in a whole bunch of foolishness. And that's why it says, but the Creator pondereth the hearts. The Creator looks at the Creator looks at your mind, the intent and why you did it. That's what brings judgment. It's the intent and why you did something. See, because a lot of times we can get caught in this, we can find ourselves caught up in some things, unwillingly that we didn't have no intentions of being caught in. But a lot of things, if we really pay attention, we get caught in it because of our deliberate actions, our deliberate intent on doing something that we know that's wrong, that we know that goes against Scripture, that we know that goes against Torah. Those are the things that we find ourselves in. That's what it means that the Creator pondereth the mind. He looks at your mind, the intent of why you did it. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Job 31:3, 31:1.
We didn't do Proverbs 4:26.
Okay, Proverbs 4:26 then.
It says, ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established.
Okay, ponder the path of thy feet. That means watch the way you move, man. Watch your movement. Watch your movement. Watch your movement. Watch how you walk. Look at the things you walk among, the people you walk with. That's the path of your feet. Those are actions. See, a lot of times we ponder everybody else's actions, but we don't never ponder our own actions. We don't look at how we move. Ponder your movement and let all thy ways be established. Meaning, when you do something, that should be something you mean to do. That should not be something, oh, my bad, I ain't meant to do it. No, when you do it, establish it. And if you can't establish it, you should not be doing it. If it has something that you're going to be ashamed of, then the question is, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? If it's going to be something where you become ashamed of it later on, then the question is, why are you doing it? Because you're not going to be able to establish it. Let's go to the next one. Job 31:1.
I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?
See, I made a covenant with my eyes. See, my eyes. I'm not going to sit here and make a covenant with someone simply because of how good they look. Oh man, she got a nice body. Ooh, wow. She light skinned, man. Oh, he's cute. And blah 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 blah. No, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a maid? Why am I lusting over a woman? Why am I lusting over a woman? Because when you lust over her and you get her, or you lust over a male and you begin to assist the wrong male, guess what? That's your work's going to be established. That means you have no no type of power or control over your thinking. Your eyes taking you it's taking you all over the place. It's dazzling you into wanting to be a part of things, be amongst people, just to be able to have this person or that person. Job said, I made a covenant with my eyes. I'm going to control you, fam. Why should I look upon a maid, meaning a female? Because of how good she looks or how fine I think she is. See, because when you get her, that's the fruit. That's the reward. That's the result. And you're going to get what you went after. Because you had no control over your own eyes. And your eyes control the very nature of your mind. And now it's establishing your walk. Because you didn't pay attention to your movement. Let's grab the next one. Let's go to Isaiah 55 and 7, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. I got to be very careful at the things that I do. I can't just sit here and say, "Oh, it's about this and that, and I made a mistake." It's not about making a mistake. The question is, did you ponder your walk? Did you ponder how you move before you move? Or you just move simply because she looked good? And it's not wrong with having a nice female. But is that all she is? Is nice looking. Can this female help you get to the Sabbath? Or is she going to work against me? Isaiah 55 and 7 said what? Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. See, notice that. Let the wicked forsake his ways, and the unrighteous forsake his thoughts. See, this thing just don't go through actions, it goes through the mindset. That's why I keep telling you, the Creator is going to ponder your mind. He's going to look at the intent of why you did something. And let him return unto the Creator. Huh? How do you do it? Forsaken, turn away, forsaken, turn away. Anything that goes against what the Creator has designed and you now going against it, you got to turn away from that thing. And he will what? Have mercy upon him. It didn't say he's going to forgive his sins. The Bible says he's going to have mercy upon you. Meaning your punishment is not going to be as harsh as into one who didn't turn away. But you're going to feel the power of the pain for you actually being wicked and being unrighteous. You're going to feel that judgment, but it ain't going to be as harsh as those who never turned away. And to our Creator, for he will abundantly pardon. That means he's going to excuse you. He's not going to hold it against you. That means you have another opportunity to now establish your steps so he can review your thoughts again. So Eve wasn't out of bounds when she questioned the serpent. She wasn't out of bounds. She was in line with what Scripture said. She was in line. So the serpent tried to do what? Trap her. Just to test to see who she's faithful to. So far she's being faithful to her house. The fruit means the earning or the result of whatever that tree was producing. They were able to mingle with them trees. So those trees that they was able to eat from was the rim that they were supposed to be in. It wasn't taking them away from that rim. So you should only eat within the bounds of the area you're supposed to be in. I don't care whatever you eat, you're supposed to only eat from the area that you're supposed to be in mentally. But a lot of us, we'll try to go outside of those bounds to try things, just to see how those things taste, how good it looks. We'll try it. And that's why we all get mixed up. That's why a lot of people get mixed up, because they're trying things outside of their realm of acceptance that the Creator put you in. Never go outside the boundaries to eat. That's why Job said he made a covenant with his eyes. Why should he commit to a maid? Why should he chase a maid? I'm not going outside of myself to go get a woman. For what? And a female should never go outside of herself to assist a male, especially if that male is not trying to get to the Sabbath. And that female and that male should never want to uphold a female who will never be able to uphold him to get to the Sabbath. See, that's eating outside of the boundaries that you're in. But a lot of females would just commit to something because they want something. A lot of males will commit to something simply because they want something. But in the process, it's not even benefiting them. In fact, it's working against them. Never go outside your boundaries to eat. That boundary is your mind. Never go outside the mindset just to eat, just because that's a female or a male. If the Creator did not give it, then why eat it? If the Creator did not give it, then why eat it? Here's two examples. Number one, is this conversation helping her household and aiding her husband? No. This conversation that they have is not helping her household nor aiding her husband. It's not. Number two, so why is it important to engage in this conversation? We're going to get into that. Why was it so important for her to get into this conversation? She was engaging with the serpent. Why was that so important? Because the purpose that you're supposed to be in has nothing to do with anyone else but you, your house, and your spouse. That's it. It has nothing else to do with anything else, family. So let's go to verse 4. No, verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Creator said, "You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die." Now, let me back up for a moment. Let's go back up to verse 1. When you see where the serpent says, And he said unto the woman, yea. That word yea, Y-E-A, it expressed that there was a previous conversation before that. So I want you to understand that they already were having a conversation way before chapter 3. Okay? The female and the male. I mean, the female and the serpent. They were already having a conversation. Okay? So now, when you see verse 3, it says, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Creator has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Okay? Now, if you understood, if you recognize verse 3, notice she said but. But means it canceled out verse 2. Verse 2 is canceled out. What they can eat, all those trees they can eat, doesn't matter. B-U-T cancel out everything that was said previous. So but cancels out verse 2. So it says, but of the tree, but of the fruit of the tree, which is in the midst of the garden. Okay? So when he used the word but, that cancels out verse 2. Those trees that they could have ate from doesn't matter no more. Now it comes down to this one tree that they are looking for, that they are now about to discuss. Not looking for, looking at, excuse me. And now they're about to discuss. And what are they getting ready to discuss? It says they had to, she said, we can eat from it. You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it. So think about what she's saying. Her house cannot eat of the tree nor touch it. So in verse 3, she says, but the results from the tree in the midst, they had to be careful on how they dealt with that tree. That's pretty much all she was saying. They have to be careful at how they deal with that tree. Because that tree has really nothing to do with them. That's another whole conversation. That's another whole mindset. That tree has nothing to do with you just on an average day. It don't. That tree don't have anything to do with you on the average day. Okay? See, the word eat means to devour, which means to be gluttoned. See, all those other trees, they could just simply devour. Because that is the rim that they were supposed to be in. But now when you get into something that goes beyond what you were of your expectations, something that goes beyond into the rim that you were not supposed to be in, now you have to be very cautious at that thing. You have to be very cautious. You can't just enter that rim or that mindset willy-nilly. You can't just do that. Because now what's going to happen is you're going to now get into something that you wasn't prepared for, get into something that was not ordained. You're going to now get into something that has an outcome that you're not ready for. So the Creator told them, you can eat off every other tree, but that tree, you're not to devour it lest you die. Meaning you have to be very careful in how you deal with that tree. Because that particular tree is more than what you can handle. You're not ready for that tree. So they cannot be gluttonous with that particular tree. They cannot. So they have to be cautious on how they deal with that tree, because that tree has a different type of mindset when it comes to that particular position of that tree. It's a different mindset on handling that tree. It's a different mindset. You can't just willy-nilly go and deal with that tree. So I have 3 questions. Number one, I have 3 statements. Number one, there has to be a purpose. When I'm dealing with something like let's say I'm just going to use my house, poison. There are certain poisons that you can use in your house, but you have to be very cautious in how you use it. And there has to be a reason in why you use that particular type of what you call it, of poison. I call it poison. Poison could be the stuff that you put inside of your pipes to unclog it. Poison could be hair products. There's a reason. What is the purpose for why you put that stuff in that pipe? What is the purpose for that? Because really, the water, when you pour water down the pipe, the water is just supposed to automatically flow through that pipe. But there's a reason why you have to use that stuff to pull down into your pipes to unclog it. Poison. So what's the purpose for it? Because something is in that pipe clogging it. Number 2, there has to be an authorization for you to use that stuff. Because if you just use that poison just for the heck of it, that stuff can ruin your pipes. That stuff can have a bad pushback back up through your pipes if you use too much. So you have to know what are you doing when you use it. There has to be a purpose, and you have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And number 3, but if there wasn't then, now desire is now coming into play. So if there wasn't no desire for that particular tree, now there's something that's coming into play now with the female. So if they accept the right position of the mindset of that tree, then it is lawful for them to eat, because they're not just going to go radically at that tree. Because they understand that that tree, just because it's there, doesn't mean I can just go at it the same way I go at the other trees. Because I was told not to deal with that particular tree the same way I dealt with the other trees that I was lawful to be a part and be around and to deal with. They're different. There has to be a mindset there. I can't just go into that tree. It has to be a mindset. There has to be a reason. There has to be an authorization in order for me to do so. And if I go into that position right, then guess what? It will not cause me to die. Like she said, it will not cause me to die. But when it caused me to die, it's because I chose not to listen or to deal properly with that particular tree the right way, the way it was told that I should not just go willy-nilly or devour that tree without a purpose. I have to be very understandable about that. But if I don't, then I can't get mad when there's a blowback. So let's grab a couple of scriptures here about gluttony. Give me a second real quick. Let's grab a couple of scriptures about gluttony. Give me 1 second because it kind of moved. All right, let's go to I'm gonna use a new no, let's go to Isaiah 119, Isaiah the first chapter, verse 19. Then we're going to jump over to Ecclesiastes 9 and 7. And then we're going to go to Proverbs 30 and 8. And then I'm going to use a New Testament scripture in the process. Um, that's 1 Corinthians 10 and 31. Certain things I agree with in the New Testament if it lines up with Torah, but it has to line up with Torah. Let's go to Isaiah 119. Isaiah, the first chapter, verse 19. And this is what it says here. It says, if you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. If you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. See, but I have to be willing and I have to be willing to be obedient. Be willing and obedient means do what the scripture says and be obedient to that thing. In other words, I cannot put my own thoughts into it. I can't do that. I have to be obedient to it, and then I can eat the good of the land. But if I try to add things to it, then I'm not going to be. I'm not going to eat the good of the land. That's why you see people struggle, because they're not being willing to do, to stay, and to know and to observe. So they're definitely not going to be obedient to that. All right, they're not going to be obedient to that. But that's how you eat the good of the land, and that's what caused the male. That's what the same law it applies to the male and the female from the beginning. They had to be obedient, willing and obedient. Okay, they can't just say, "Okay, I'm gonna eat the good of the land." There was laws that they had to follow in order for them to be able to eat from the land. All right, let's go to Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 7. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 7. See, I have to be willing and obedient in order to eat the good from the land. So Adam and Eve, so the male and the female at the beginning had to be obedient. They had to be obedient and be willing to hear, to be able to obey. You can't obey if you're not trying to listen. Okay, that's why we're not eating the good fruits of the land. And that's talking about anything across the board. They're not just talking about literal fruits. It's talking about having a good life. Okay? Ecclesiastes 9 and 7, it says, go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart. For the Creator now accept thy works. But what if the Creator don't accept your works? Could you be merry? Could you drink? Could you be happy? Could you be joyful when you're eating and drinking? No, because you're struggling. Because the Creator has moved himself away from you. You're struggling. You're at the bottom. Okay? The only way we can eat with joy and drink with merry is when the Creator accepts your work. And that's the only thing. How the Creator accept your work? You have to be obedient, and you have to be willing. You see? So the thing is that when you be obedient and willingly, this is how you eat, and this is how you have joy, and this is what you do when you drink and be merry. Let's go and grab another scripture, Proverbs 30 and 8. Let's go to Proverbs 30 and 8. Proverbs 30 and 8 says, Proverbs 30 and 8, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. That means all that stuff that you're trying to reach for, forget it. Forget it. It don't matter. It don't mean anything. Forget it. Forget it. If I can't reach for all the riches and all those things, that's vanity. Feed me with food convenient for me. Meaning I need to stay within the rim of me. I don't need to go outside of me trying things. This is what gets you in trouble. We try to go outside of the house to try a lot of stuff. and then we try to run back to the house for cover. Let me read that again. It says, remove far from me vanity, things that don't mean anything. Then it says, and lies. Things that's going to eventually get me in trouble. It's going to lead me down the wrong path, run me into the wrong people, move me into the wrong positions. Lies. Give me neither poverty, I don't want poverty, nor riches. I don't even want riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, meaning I want to stay within my purpose. I'm not trying to go beyond my purpose, and I'm going to stay within my purpose and build my purpose from that point. And so when I have children, I pass that purpose down to my children and teach them how to stay within their purpose and build and expand their purpose, not go outside of themselves to eat things that will cause them later on to die. Okay? And this is what this is what the female was telling the serpent. That tree is going to cause me, that's in the midst, I'm not ready for it. We are not to eat it nor touch it. We are only to eat within things that are convenient for us. That tree, we're not ready for that tree. Okay? But remember, like I asked earlier, what good is the conversation she having? Is it helping her husband and is it building her house? And the answer was no. It's not doing neither. So why have this conversation? We will get into that in a second. So she said that they are not to eat from it, nor touch it, lest they die. Now the word eat means to be devoured. It means to consume vigorously, meaning you're doing it with no care. So she was right. They cannot touch that tree or mess with that tree vigorously without any meaning or purpose. It has to be a purpose on why they are fooling around with that particular tree. And the word touch means to reach, meaning to move your arm into a specific direction in order to touch or grab something. All right? So that means that's an action word. So that action word means to strike. And that occurs suddenly and leaves a harmful or effect on that thing. So they were not to be able to mess with that tree, to be able to what? Leave a harmful or an effect, a harmful effect on that thing. So they have to, so it goes back to the point, they have to be cautious at dealing with that tree. They have to be cautious. And if you're not ready to deal with another level, you have to be able to stay within the convenience that we just read. Feed me with food that is convenient for me. I don't need to go outside to taste something that I'm not ready to eat from. So they had to be very careful. She was telling the serpent, we have to be very careful. We can't harm that tree. We can't affect that tree in the wrong manner. We can't do that. Let's get a couple more scriptures. Any questions so far before I move forward?
So when you're dealing with gluttony, I know a lot of times we associate it with like just food, but can it be associated with anything else?
Yeah, that is gluttony. Gluttony just ain't with food. We're gonna go over some scriptures with that too in a minute. Gluttony ain't just with food, gluttony is with anything. Yeah, gluttony is with anything. So they had to be, she was telling the serpent, they have to be very careful at how they deal with certain things. Let's go to Proverbs 22:26. Let's grab that real quick. So you have to be very careful at the realm that you are in. If you're not ready for that realm, if you was not ordained to be in that realm, why are you in that realm? Proverbs 22:26. It says, be not thou one of them that strike hands. See? Or of them that are what? Sureties for death. So I'm not trying to owe you. I'm not trying to strike my hand to be rudely towards you, to leave a harmful or hurtful effect. I'm not trying to do that. I have to be very careful and cautious at how I deal. I'm not going to cause it where it's that I owe you or you owe me. That's not what this is about. So we have to be very careful. Let's go to Malachi 4:6. Let's go to Malachi 4:6.
It says, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
See? Look what it says. He's going to turn to what? He said this certain person is going to turn the fathers. Look what he said now. He says he's going to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children. The fathers. And the mothers are there as well, but the fathers are there because the fathers are the protectors of the house. And the what? And the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers. See, most children are connected to the mother, not the fathers. That is a curse. That's witchcraft. Lest he come and smite the earth with a curse, because the male, supposed to be the protector. And the female supposed to be the assistant to the protector. She's supposed to uphold what the protector says. Go ahead, what you got?
Okay, but how is that a curse? Because if the connection between the children are there, it's because the mother carried them for 9 months. I mean, there's going to be some type of connection. How can there not be?
It never said that the mother don't have a connection with her children. Notice what it says. It says, and he shall turn the what? Hearts is what?
The heart means the inner man, the mind, the understanding.
The understanding. So why do not the children have the understanding of their father?
Well, I mean, I understand the father, the husband has the vision because he's the protector. And I mean, I get that, but I mean.
Watch this. The mother's supposed to raise the children how?
According to the Father's vision.
Okay, so if she's raising the children according to the father's vision, then why don't the children follow the vision of the father?
Because they're following their own mindset.
They're not following their own mindset, they're following the mindset of the mother. A child cannot develop its own mindset. It's only two ways a child can develop a mind. That's through the father or through the mother.
I was thinking as they got older,
Well,
not
as
as
they get as they get older, as they get older, the mindset of the mother comes out.
Hmm.
That's why I was saying, that's why I read the scriptures that you have to eat the things that are convenient for you. No child should be raised outside or have the mindset of something outside of their house. I'm going to get into it and I'm going to show you in a second. Because when that happens, that draws a curse. That's witchcraft. Because if the child was raised in the likeness of their father, they're automatically connected to the mother, but the mother's supposed to take that connection and now mold that child into the father. Whereas that child can now understand that man. But most children grows up not understanding the fathers because the mother never raised that child into that. That's a curse. She kept the mindset unto herself. And that goes back to, let me grab that scripture real quick. Give me 1 second. Go to go to Isaiah. Hold on. Yeah, go to Isaiah 3 and 4. Go to Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, verse 4 and 5. And this is what it reads here.
You said 3 and 4, or which one? 3 or 4, or 4 or 5?
Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, verse 4 and 5.
Oh, 4 and 5. Okay. Third chapter. It says, "And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable.
Go ahead. Go take verse 6.
When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand."
So just real quick, let's look at verse 4 real quick. He said, I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. So that is talking about men of a certain age who has the power, but they don't have the mindset. They're going to be your rulers. Because watch what verse 5 says. And the people shall be oppressed. Why are they being oppressed? Because those ones who are ruling don't have the mindset to rule. They have the zeal, but they don't understand how to literally or legitimately rule. They don't. Everyone by another, because because it's telling you that's where your fighting coming in at. Nobody trusts each other. Nobody's staying with each other. Everybody's arguing and back and forth with each other because nobody don't know how to rule. Nobody knows how to rule. Nobody understands what a real leader is. So when somebody comes up with 6, they fight against that. That's what it's talking about in verse 5. Everyone by another shall be oppressed one by another. and everyone by his what? Neighbor. Meaning that fight is going to go outside the house. I'm not going to trust you. You're not going to trust me. See? Then it says, the child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient. They're not going to follow the grandparents and the fathers, the parents no more. They ain't going to do that no more. Especially the men, especially the boys, they're not going to follow their fathers no more. Because they don't become proud. They smell themselves. They smell themselves. And the babes and the base against the honorable. The base, that's the child. That's the ones who are in the low position. They're going to what? They're going to act proudly against the honorable one. The honorable, meaning the ones who has that right to be in that position. They're going to act proudly against those ones. The elders. And verse 6 says, when a man shall take hold of his brother, of the house of his father. Meaning, he's going to look at his household. That's his lineage. And he's going to pick one. He's going to say, thou has clothing. We got everything we need. Be thou our ruler. They're going to pick the weakest person to rule them. The weakest person is going to rule the family. The weakest person is going to rule the nation. And let this ruling be under your hand. They're going to side with the weakest people to rule your house, to rule your people. And then they're going to blame it on your house. That's why in Malachi, he's going to turn the children back to the minds of the father. Because the father's mindset is what's supposed to be in power. Excuse me, not the mother. The mother's supposed to be in support of the mind of the father. But see, it done turned. And now what you see in today are weak, effeminate men who was raised by mothers. Not the father who mimics the actions of the mother, not the father. Because and then those men have children, and then those children have children. Now you got what you see today. This is what you see today. So we have to be very careful when we deal outside. When we deal outside of the house. Because the house is the foundation to the protection of the family. But when we deal outside of the house, and you go outside like that tree for Eve, she already told her, hey, we're not to eat nor touch it. That's what God. It's not saying that they couldn't mess with it. They had to be very cautious in how they dealt with it. Excuse me, it's the same thing when we go outside of our house. We have to be very cautious in how we deal with life. We can't just deal with life just because it's there. Life has to be dealt with in a precious and a solemn way. Meaning I have to be very cautious in when I deal with it. In certain areas of life, I have to have a purpose in why I'm dealing with that and the reason. I can't just go out there and deal with life. I end up dying because I might get caught in the wrong position. So that's what Eve was telling. That's what the woman, she was telling the serpent, that they were supposed to have self-control when dealing with that tree. They were supposed to have self-control when dealing with that tree. Just like In the house, the female and the male are supposed to have self-control when dealing with their roles. And that's why before you get into those roles, you're supposed to understand and know the purpose of those roles. And you're supposed to already be ordained when you get into those roles. Or when you enter that role, you're supposed to have authorization to do so. Let's grab a couple of more scriptures. Proverbs 25:28. We're going to get Proverbs 25:28. We're going to get Proverbs 16:32. We're going to get Proverbs 12:16. That's Proverbs 25:28, Proverbs 16:32, Proverbs 12:16, Proverbs 29:12, Proverbs 4:27. We already did Job 31:1. I don't want to get to that again. So Proverbs 25:28. Let's grab that. We have to be very, very, very cautious into the things that we enter into. Because those things that we enter into when we are not authorized to get into it can offset everything that we are doing. It can offset it. Proverbs 25:28. And this is what it says here. It says, he that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. So if you don't have no rule over your own self, it's like you're like a city with walls are broken down. You don't have no protection. That's what Eve was telling the serpent. We have to be very cautious at how we deal with that tree. I can't just deal with that tree just because. I have to be very cautious at how I deal with that tree. Let's go to Proverbs 16:32. See, I have to be very cautious in how I deal, because if I don't, then I can't get mad when there's a blowback. Proverbs 16:32. It says, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Now that's powerful. If I'm angry, but I hold my anger, I control my anger. It's not saying that you can't show that you're angry, but I'm controlling how I feel. That's why, for me being a red belt in Taekwondo, in that level, it teaches you how to master someone else's energy against them. You don't go up against someone using your energy. That's not how martial art works. You possess their energy and use their energy against them. So that's what it's saying. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. You could be a big dude. You could be someone great. You could have this and that. But if I know how to control me, I'll think you and think before what you even do before you do it. Meaning I'm already 3 or 4 steps ahead of you. So now when I step in front of you, see, you mad. You ready to get it. You ready to get in because you're mad, you're angry. But see, I'm not angry. I'm looking at your anger. And I already put in my mind the moves that you're going to do before you do it. And that's why the next part it says, and he that ruleth his spirit, than he that what? Taketh a city. You could be one of the greatest people that have won battles, but you don't know how to rule yourself. Eventually, what's going to happen is your city going to fall. You're going to come down in destruction in a flame of fire because you don't know how to rule yourself. Yeah, you may have a lot of victories, but you ain't going to win the war because you don't know how to rule yourself. Let's go back up to verse 16. Proverbs 12 and let's go. Proverbs 12 and 16, excuse me. Proverbs 12 and 16. So I got to know how to rule me. Because if I don't know how to rule myself, then I'm no good. I'm no good. Proverbs 12 and 16.
It says, "A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame."
See, a fool's wrath is presently known. See, a fool gonna make himself known to everything. He's gonna run his mouth, he's gonna open his mouth, he's gonna say all kind of foolishness out of his mouth. See, a fool, that's what a fool does. Always try to get the one up. That's a fool. Always try to be the one that everybody look at. That's a fool. Everybody laugh at. Everybody laughing for. That's a fool. They're presently known. They're presently known. See, after that day is gone, everybody forget about that fool. See? But a prudent man covereth shame. Meaning a prudent man, a man that's wise, he covers shame. He ain't gonna just look. I'm not gonna go out there and just embarrass myself. I'm not gonna do that. That's not what a prudent man does. Okay? A prudent man don't do that. Oh boy. This phone dies so quick now. A prudent man doesn't do that. Okay? Let's go to the next one, Proverbs 29 and 12. See, you got to be wise at the things you do. You can't just do things just to do it just because you can. You got to think about the things you do when you do it. What is going to be the blowback of these things? Proverbs 29 and 12 says, it says, if a ruler hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked. If a ruler hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked. Because they're following that ruler. And eventually, those servants are going to commit to what that ruler has hearkened to. That's why, as a ruler, you got to stand on what is true. Regardless of what it looks like and what it seems like and what people are saying, you got to be able to stand on what is real. So if you hearken to lies, that makes everything behind you wicked. Let's grab another one. Proverbs 4 and 27. Proverbs 4 and 27. So I got to be careful at what I listen to. Because if I listen to things that is a lie, then everything that's supposed to be with me is going to eventually be wicked that falls behind me. So I have to be careful at that. Proverbs 4:27 says, turn not to the right nor to the left. Remove your foot from evil. I have to be very careful at the things that I follow. And if it ain't right, I need to remove myself from it. I can't hang around wickedness. I can't hang around things that are evil. And that's what Eve should have done. So if they do not have that control, this is what killed them. It's not having control over what they were doing. That's where death came at. And this is what she was telling the serpent. See, the word die means to perish as a nation. It means to die prematurely. See? To die prematurely or to die as a nation? Let's grab a couple of more scriptures out because I like to get my scriptures in there. That's Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verse 13 through 16. That's Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verse 13 through 16. That's Psalms 145, verse 20. And that's Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 17. See? Because I could die early by doing stupid stuff. I could die early by being wicked. By not following the path of my purpose. I could die early. But a lot of people, they don't believe that. Well, let's prove it. Isaiah 5:13 through 16.
Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. And the mean men shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. But the Most High of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and the Creator that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness.
So in other words, look what it's saying. You're going to die into captivity. That's your death when someone else rule you. When someone else rule you, that's your death. That's your death. And you'll say, oh, no. See, that's not my death. Okay, watch this. Let me give you a scripture real quick. I'm gonna give you outside scripture. Give me a minute. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second. Let's go to let's get Ecclesiasticus. That's the book of Sirach. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, the 40th chapter, verse 28. Ecclesiasticus, let's go to 28 through 30. Sirach, the 40th chapter, verse 28 through 30. See, I'm going to read it real quick. It says, my son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. But look what Isaiah said, therefore my people have gone into captivity. See, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. You're begging now. When someone got you in captivity, you're begging to have a normal life. That means someone else controls you. That's why you're called now African American, Negro, Black, Indian, whatever you want to call yourself. That's why you're that. That's why you have to pay tribute and taxes to another nation. Even while they are on your land, because you don't believe this is your land. That's another conversation for another time. See, you're begging because you're in captivity. That means you're dead. It says the life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. Huh? The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. That's not to be counted for a life. So when you sit there depending on somebody for your life, meaning you got a job, you working on somebody's job. You got to pay a man to live in a house. That's not a life. For he polluted himself with another man's meat. Because you're in captivity, family. Because you went outside of yourself. You dealt with something that did not belong or pertain to you. So now it says, polluted himself with another man's meat, but a wise man will nurture, will beware thereof. See, a wise man ain't gonna get himself caught up into something that is outside of himself. See, begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire. Meaning, this man don't have no shame who begs. And that's why most of us ain't trying to come back out of this captivity. We trying to sit in this captivity. See, this is what Eve was telling the serpent. We are in captivity. And this thing will cause me to be in captivity. And for this thing causing me to be in captivity, let's keep reading. She said, Isaiah said, therefore hell has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measures, and their glory and their multitude of pomps, and he that rejoices shall descend into it. Meaning the whole nation. The whole nation is gone. That's prematurely dying. Because you refuse to keep the law. You refuse to stay within the rim that you're supposed to be in. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to where we at? Let's go to Psalms 145 and 20. Psalms 145 and 20. It says, Psalms 145, verse 20. It says, here we go. Psalms 145, verse 20 says, the Creator preserved all them that love him, but all the wicked will be destroyed. See? The Creator the Creator does not preserve anything that does not love him. So when you go outside of yourself, you're not being loved by the Creator. When you go outside of your purpose, you're not being loved by the Creator. It doesn't matter what anybody say. You're not being loved by the Creator. You might be loved by yourself. Like we already read that scripture. There's a thing that seems right in a man's eye. In your eye, you might think the Creator loved you, but not according to Scripture. Not according to Scripture. Ecclesiastes 17 and 7. 7 and 17. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 17. See? And when the Creator don't love you, you end up doing foolish stuff. And this is what it says right here. You end up going into captivity. Captivity can destroy you early. And that's why it says, be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why should you die before your time? Because you think what you're doing is great in your own eyes. But why you feel like what you're doing, you're not going to pay consequences or homage for? You are. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for being wicked, family. You're going to pay for being wicked. So any questions before I move forward? Because we about halfway there. All right. Let's keep moving. Let's go back to Genesis. Go back to Genesis. What this thing just do? Here we go. Genesis, the 3rd chapter. This is what the serpent was telling. This is what the woman was telling the serpent. We have to be cautious because these things can lead us into captivity. These things will create a problem for us. And we're not here to die early. See, when you develop habits or skills, one or two things will happen. One or two things will happen when you develop habits or skills. It will either progress you as a person or it will destroy you. It will destroy you as a person. And number one or two things when you develop habits or skills. You're going to either progress as a person or you're going to be destroyed as a person. Okay? But you are supposed to develop skills that will progress you towards the Sabbath. You're not supposed to develop skills that will progress you, that will digress you from the Sabbath. It progresses you towards the Sabbath, not towards your desires. You're not supposed to develop skills and habits towards your desires. It's supposed to develop you and progress you towards getting to the Sabbath. Meaning, you're supposed to be within your own purpose. Okay? This is what you're supposed to be in. Now, we got some more scriptures. Let's go to Proverbs 6 and 23. We're going to hit Proverbs 6 and 23, Psalms 42 and 1, Isaiah 26 and 8, Proverbs 21, 26, and Proverbs 23 and 5. Let's grab these scriptures real fast, real quick. Let's get into it. Proverbs 6 and 23. It says, Proverbs 6 and 23, it says, for the command is a lamp and the law is light, and reproof of instructions are the way of life. So the Creator gave us laws that we're supposed to abide by. And those things we're supposed to watch our feet by how we walk according to these laws. Okay? And we're supposed to be able to see the progress in how we walk, how we're walking. Either we're progressing towards the commands and we are seeing the commands even better, or we're digressing away from the commands and we're seeing ourselves falling away from the commands. So in other words, either you're seeing yourself following the commands more and more and more and understanding what the commands are saying, or you just following them by a narrative of how you relate to them and you see yourself being less and less and less of these laws, period. A lot of people say, well, we can't do these things because we're not in the land. No, you're still supposed to do these. You're still supposed to follow the law. Now, there are certain parts of the law that we can't follow because we're not as a nation, but certain parts of the law we're still supposed to follow. That's period, point blank. Like fringes. We're supposed to have on fringes. We're supposed to do certain things that we're supposed to do. We're still supposed to be keeping the feast days, our holy days. We're supposed to be doing all that. Okay? Now, Psalms 42 and 1. Let's go to Psalms 42 and 1. We're supposed to be following the commands of the Creator, but we're supposed to also come to an understanding of these laws. Not just simply say, oh, well, this is the law and that's what it is. No, there's reasons why these laws were put in place. And we're supposed to come to an understanding of that. So Psalms 42 and 1, the chief musician, Maskil, for the son of Korah, as the hart pantereth after the water brook, so pandereth my soul after thee, O the Creator. My soul's supposed to pander, meaning it's supposed to search. It's supposed to run after. It's supposed to thirst for the Creator. That means if I'm in that mode and mindset, I'm not going to go after things just because I can't. I'm going to come to an understanding before I do it to make sure that it doesn't offset my house and it doesn't move my soul away from the commands. Because if it offset my house and it moves my soul, then my role has been what? Infiltrated. Isaiah 26:8. We have to be very, very careful in how we move. Because if we're not careful in how we move, then we can't get mad when there's a blowback. Isaiah 26:8.
Yea, in the way of thy judgments, O Creator, have we waited for thee. The desire of our soul is to thy name and to the remembrance of thee.
So we're not supposed to be, our desire is supposed to be to his name. The attributes that recognize his name, that's what our desire is supposed to be moving towards. So anything I get caught in before I do it, I have to make sure it represents his name and the remembrance of him. Not just for me to just be willingly doing it. It ain't about my emotions. It's about the Creator. That's why I told you, male and female was created for the purpose of the Creator. And within that purpose, there's a roles that the male plays and there's roles that the female plays. And both of them are supposed to come together to be able to have a union. That's what it's called man. Because that's what he created. That's what the Creator created. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go to Proverbs 21:26. Proverbs 21:26. See, because I have to make sure that everything is for the Creator. My desire has to be within the Creator, not what my desires want. My desire should be the Creator's desire. Okay? Now, it says, he covereth greedily all the day long, but the righteous give and spareth not. He covereth greedily. In other words, he don't let up. This greedily person does not let up. This greedy person just he covered all day long. He don't care who it hurt. Okay? But the righteous give and spareth not. See? Because the righteous is in the mode that the righteous is supposed to be in. The righteous is in the mode that the righteous is supposed to be in. But when you're greedy, you cover all the day long. Okay? Let's go to that's Proverbs 20. Let's go to the last one, Proverbs 23 and 5. So I'm not going to be out of my purpose. I'm not going to be out of my purpose. I'm going to stay within my purpose. Because it's about the will. And it's about the desire of the Creator. Proverbs 23 and 5, this is what it says. Wilt thou set thy eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly makes themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle towards heaven. Now I want you to pay attention to that. Wilt thou set thy eyes upon that thou which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They they fly away as an eagle towards heaven. Let me read verse 6. Eat thou not the bread of him that hath an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meat. Now, I want you to pay attention to verse 5. Because see, when you get into things, it puts you that you are not authorized in. It puts you into the mindset that that you are good. And it puts you into the mindset that, oh, well, everything that I've done is right. So I'm good with the Most High. I'm good with the Creator. I'm good with that. And that's why it comes right back and say, don't eat the bread of him that has an evil eye. Because that evil eye, what it means, you right in your own eyes. You're not trying to change. You're not trying to do anything. You're right in your own eyes. And this is what the woman, this is what the female, the wife was telling the serpent. Okay? Now let's go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter. We about there. Trust me, we about there. Let's go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter. I mean, the 3rd chapter. We're going to go to verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. Now, this is very important. This verse right here is very important because a lot of people say the serpent right here lied to the woman. The question, did the serpent lie? No, the serpent did not lie. The serpent did not lie to the woman. Once when you are given commands, like in verse 17 of the 2nd chapter, when it says, you shall not eat of this tree, lest you die. Like the male and the female were given, and they were given the consequences, lest you die. So now it's up to you to go into the depths of that thing that was given to you. In other words, when you are given a job, they give you what is called rules of that job. And they give you a handbook, what is called, inside the rules, they give you what is called a handbook. And that handbook has all the do's and the don'ts. Most of us, we don't even think about looking into it. We don't. And when we don't think about looking into the handbook, you can't get caught, or you can't get mad when you break a rule and they enforce that rule on you. Because the first thing they're going to ask you is, did you read the handbook? You have to learn that thing. See, it's not up to somebody to bring you the understanding. It's up to you to gain the understanding. And then it's up to you to come to the conclusion to either following that thing or not. That's up to you. When the Creator gave them the rule to that tree, that was up to them to learn that rule. How deep that rule goes. The do's and don'ts of that rule, of that tree. That was up to them. The serpent is just coming and testing her, saying, you shall surely not die. Now, if I look at that in the language was telling her to die early is prohibited unless it's changed or altered. That's what he was telling her. To die early or to die prematurely is prohibited unless changed or altered. So the serpent was telling her, look, if you die early, it's because you changed something or you altered it. Because dying early is prohibited. That's prohibited unless you change something. And we went through those scriptures about dying early.
You begging off another man's table. You don't went into another mindset away from the purpose of yourself. So now, therefore, you're in captivity. Or you are overly wicked. You are overly wicked means you're not coming back to repent, to realize the things that you have done. So guess what? You're going to die early. Why die before your time? So that's what he was telling her. To die early, to die prematurely, is absolutely prohibited unless changed or altered. It's not meant for you to die early. It's meant for you to have a prosperous life. But because we goes into places that is not authorized, that's what kills us. That's what destroys us. And then we blame it on everything else except our own accountability. Let me catch a couple more scriptures and then I'm end it. I'm end it because I don't want to go too much farther. Let's go to Proverbs, the 4th chapter, verse 5 and 9. I don't want to go too far in it because there's a lot of material. Proverbs, the 4th chapter, verse 5 through 9. And this is what it says here. It says, get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. So it's telling you to get wisdom and get understanding. If get it not, don't forget about that wisdom. Don't throw away that wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Decline not the words from his mouth. Then it says, forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Keep thee. It's talking about what? It's talking about wisdom and understanding. Verse 7, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get an understanding. See, you got to get an understanding about that wisdom that he's telling you to get. He's not just telling you to go give wisdom. He's telling you to understand that thing. Go get the understanding of that thing that he's telling you to get, which is wisdom. See? And see, when you understand that thing, you'll recognize that this thing will love you and keep you and preserve you. And that's why verse 7 says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. With all thy getting, get understanding. Verse 8, exalt her. Exalt who? Exalt wisdom. And she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou doest embrace her. See, when you exalt her and shall promote thee, she shall promote you. When you exalt wisdom, people are going to realize the wisdom that you have. People are going to respect you. Because you're promoting what you got an understanding about, not something you don't have an understanding about. See, a lot of people go and promote ignorance. They don't go and promote understanding, but they claim they do. They claim they have an understanding, but they really don't. And that's why it says, she shall bring thee to what honor when thou doest embrace her. She's going to uphold you. People are going to recognize you're different because you're moving with wisdom. You're not moving with ignorance or a desire. You're moving with wisdom. In verse 9, she shall give to to thy head an ornament of grace. People are going to see you. They're going to recognize you. They're going to understand that you are different. A crown of glory shall she deliver to you. When you follow the floor plan that the Creator has given you, they're going to recognize the grace, the wisdom that you have. Let's go to Proverbs 18 and 2. why he challenged her. He's checking her wisdom out. People challenge you to see exactly how you're going to move. Yeah, she said the right thing at the beginning. But how is she going to move after she get finished speaking? Proverbs 18:2. A fool has no delight in understanding, but that his heart may what? Discover itself. He don't want to know himself. A fool don't want to know themselves. A fool only wants to understand what they think they know, what they think they believe in, what they feel. Job 28:28. Job 28:28. That's what it says. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Creator, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. See, this is what he said to man. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Creator is that is wisdom. If I feel what the Creator have told me, that's wisdom. And to depart from evil, that's understanding, because I understand that evil is going to cause me to fall. It's causing me to beg from another man's table. It's causing me to keep a curse upon my house. Proverbs 2:11-16. This is what it says here. This is what it says. Proverbs 2:11-16. Then it says, discretion shall preserve thee. Discretion. It means you got to really think about some things. That's what's going to preserve you. Discretion. That's what's going to preserve you. Understanding shall keep thee. See, discretion is a viewpoint of what I come across. That's what's going to preserve me. But understanding shall what? Keep me. Because I'm not going off opinion. I'm going off what I really know and come to understand, come to know. To deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh froward things. Now look at that word froward. Froward means ill mind. A mind that thinks backwards, that thinks outside the box, towards wickedness. It don't follow the commands. That's a froward mind. To deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speak froward things, things that is outside of the commands. Who leave the path of uprighteous, to walk in the ways of darkness. See, this is what we have to be very cautious of. The serpent said to die early, to die prematurely, is prohibited unless you alter a change. So to a point, is she going to what? Continue the conversation, or is she going to conversate and continue, or to let that conversation go? Because it's not benefiting her house. It's not even benefiting her, protecting her husband. So what is taking place? Verse 14, who rejoice to do evil? Who do that? Who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked? Only people who are in their own way of thinking does that. People who think they are right in their own eyes rejoice in wickedness and what? And on froward thinkingness. Verse 15, whose ways are crooked, and they are froward in their path. And verse 16, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words. See, it's always about the female. Because that female has a lot of power in her own role. And we have to be very cautious and careful at how we deal with a strange woman. Because if she's not there to push you to the Sabbath and keep you in the route, keep you in the mindset, you're going to fall. Let's get a couple more of the scriptures. Let's go to Psalms 119, verse 34. See, we have to be very cautious at the things that we're doing. Psalms 119, verse 34. And this is what it says. It says, give me understanding, and I shall keep the law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole mind, which is heart. See, give me understanding. Not just me keeping the law, but I need to have understanding at what I'm keeping. See, a lot of you just keep the law, but don't have no understanding of it. And then when somebody tries to come and give you the understanding, you sit there and you get crazy with it. But hey, listen, make sure y'all click that like button. Click that like button. It does not cost you a thing. Please click that like button, okay? Please click that, right? And if you like to give to the channel, you see my thing down, because like I say, we're going to be doing some new things by next month on this channel. We're going to not just be coming on the Sabbath, we're going to be also having other things on this channel as well. But back to it so we can go ahead and close out. Give me understanding, and I shall keep the law. If you don't have no understanding, you can't keep the law properly. All you're going to be doing is quoting the law. But you're not going to have understanding at what you're doing. Proverbs 8:1. Proverbs 8:1. See, we got to come to an understanding at the things that we're doing. Because if we don't, then you're going to be misguided. What you got?
Doeth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice?
See, do not wisdom cry and understanding put forth her voice. They want you to, because it's there for you to understand. It's there for you to gain that understanding. It's not for you to just go into something ignorantly. When the Creator told them not to eat off that tree, it was them to gain the understanding. It was for them to get the wisdom of that thing. It wasn't for the Creator to explain it. It was for them to now to explore it, to understand it. See, we want something to just give. We want something to just fall out the sky and wow, voila, voila, there you go. I got it now. Without you doing any footwork to come to the conclusion of why the Creator said not to. And the last scripture is Proverbs 16 and 22. See, we have to be the ones that do the footwork. We have to be the one that brings things into balance by us learning it. It says, understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that has it. But the instructions of fools is folly. See, in other words, notice it says, but the instructions, because in order to have that well, you got to know how to dig within yourself. To be able to allow the water of the word to go in the spirit of you. It's something you got to learn. You got to come to the understanding of. You got to be able to seek this thing out. And understand why the Creator said what he said. And gave the laws that were given. Not just to the point where it's that, oh, I'm just living according to what the law says. Understand it. Then live it. That's why the Creator told Joshua, do not let these words depart from your mouth, but meditate on them day and night. Meaning, don't open your mouth until you understand what you're about to say. And that goes back to Malachi, where it says the priest shall keep the instructions on his lips, and the law shall proceed from his mouth. Meaning, I may be messing that verse up, but in other words, the priest needs to understand the law before he opens his mouth. And that's the same thing with Eve. Eve was showing the serpent that she understood what was going on. She was showing the serpent that she understood what was going on. So if you look at the language, the serpent was telling the female to die prematurely. You cannot change or alter. So she could not change or alter that thing if she wanted to live. But if you go in there and you die, you change this thing, you're going to die. This is what the serpent told the female. Now, last verse, and then we're going to end it for this week. Let's go to verse 5. Genesis chapter 5. Genesis chapter 3, verse 5.
I get it. Genesis 3:5. Okay. For the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Now, we're going to end it with this verse. And then part 5, we want to pick it back up because it's going to get interesting. It's going to get pretty interesting. It says, for the Creator do know that in the day you eat thereof. That's a comma. That word know means to perceive, to find out or discern. So, the Creator for the Creator do discern or will find out that in the day, that day is in a period of time. Okay? That's a length of a portion of a time. That means that when this thing happened, that if she take place in doing this thing, it's not going to be noticed all at one time. It's not going to be noticed the moment she do it. This is going to be something that happened over a period of time. So when you indulge in something, that's why I agree with the New Testament scripture on this one. It says what was hidden shall be revealed. What's in the dark shall come to the what? Light. So this was something that was happening, so that if she indulged in this thing, he's telling her, if you indulge in it, over a period of time, it's going to show itself. That's why this says, for the Creator do know, for the Creator will perceive over a period of time. Okay? Therefore, hold on. Yeah, the word therefore. You eat. Because that word therefore is expressing separation or in comparison. So the Creator, he's telling the woman that the Creator will perceive over a period of time when you devour. It's going to show some kind of comparison or some kind of separation. It's going to express a separation. Meaning, when you do this thing, the Creator going to know. The Creator going to figure this out. Okay? He's going to figure it out. Then your eyes shall be open, because you're going to realize something. See, the serpent was telling the female that it will be in a while. It will be in a while before anyone notice a change. It's going to be a while. But that change is going to be noticeable after that period of time. And in that time period, it will express a separation. So if you begin to indulge in this thing, it's not going to show at the beginning. But over a period of time, it's going to show itself. It's going to show, and it's going to bring about a separation from you and the things that you were connected with. This is what the serpent was telling her. And then if you read it, he says, and your eyes shall be open. That's another comma. Your eyes are your mental qualities, is your perceiving, observing, remembering, imagining, thinking, solving problems, growth of intelligence, and language. That's what your eyes represent. All of that. Shall be means to exist or to come into being. So all of those things, your mental qualities, is going to come into being. And it's going to be like a divine deity. Meaning you're going to start to see outside of your purpose. It's pretty much what he was telling her. You're going to be able to see outside of your purpose. Remember how I said at the beginning, you shouldn't eat things, you shouldn't try a lot of stuff, especially if it's not within your bounds. He told her, you're going to start to have a divine entity feeling about yourself. You're going to start seeing things now. Beyond your purpose that you was given, beyond your role that you were supposed to be moving in. And then he's saying knowing, that word knowing, because he's saying, and you shall be as gods. See, you're going to be like a divine entity. Knowing, that word knowing means to what? To perceive, to learn, to find out and distinguish. you're going to perceive, or you're now going to find out, or you're going to learn good. That word good means agreeable to the senses, pleasant to a higher nature. You're going to learn that now. See, it's not just your purpose. You're now coming out of your purpose to go to something greater than yourself. It's going to be agreeable to your senses. It's going to be a higher purpose. And evil means disagreeable, calamity, misery, and displeasing. You're going to learn all that stuff. All they had to do was follow the commands to get to the Sabbath. That was it. And the enemy is telling her, the moment you do that, you're now going to go inside to learn these things. You're going to perceive it. So he had told her that her mental qualities are going to arise and come into being. And those mental qualities will bring you into a state of being divine. Divine being is itself the act of creation. You're going to feel like you on top. You create the creation now. This is the distinction between being a mere existence and being as fullness, encompassing the whole, meaning a wide range of special interests. This was a mindset that was not authorized. She wasn't authorized to go into this mindset. And I got 4 scriptures and we're going to close. Let's go to Proverbs 25 and 26. Then we're going to go to Ezekiel 23:18. Then Psalms 31 and 12. And Proverbs 29 and 11. And we're going to close. Proverbs 25 and 26. And this is what it says here. Proverbs 25 and 26. And it says, go ahead.
A righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring.
You see that? A righteous man, because they was righteous, falling down before the wicked. See? Is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring, meaning it's got a crack in it. It's not bringing out water that's good. It's bringing out dirty water. See? That's why I tell you, you have to be careful in how you move. You have to be careful at the things you entertain. Because they're going to tell you the truth. The question is, how you going to move in what they're telling you? A righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. Read verse 27. Oh, you done switched. I read it. It says, it is not good to eat much honey. See? So for men to search their own glory is not glory. See? It's not good to eat much honey. That's sweet stuff. It's not good. So if I'm searching for my own glory, that's not glory. That's pride. I'm searching for things dealing with me so I can establish me. No, I got to search for the Creator and the purpose that He gave me, not so much of me. Let's go to Ezekiel 23 and 18. See, I have to be very careful in how I move. Because if I don't move right, then how can I get mad when it's a blowback? How can I get mad? Oh, really? This thing just messed me up.
You said Ezekiel 23 and 18.
Yeah.
So she discovered her whoredoms and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister.
See, you got to, when you find yourself in a position of something that is showing you themselves, you got to alienate yourself from it. Let's talk about Babylon. You have to alienate yourself from things when it shows you the true self of itself, the trueness of itself. You got to alienate from it. But a lot of us, we try to hold on to it because we're looking for a change from it. It didn't tell you to hold on to it, it tell you to alienate from it. Because those things is going to cause you to fall. Psalm 31 and 12. We got to alienate from these things. We can't sit there and try to hold on to it and thinking that, oh, well, it'll change. Let it change, but you ain't going to hold on to it. See? Let it change. But you let that thing go. Psalm 31 and 12. It says, I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind. I am like a broken vessel. See, watch this. Let me read verse 11. I was a reproach among all my enemies, but especially among my neighbors, and a fear to my acquaintance, that they did not see me without fled from me. I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind, and I am a broken vessel. See, I have heard, verse 13, I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side while they took counsel together against me. They devised to take away my life. Verse 14, but I trusted in thee, O Creator. I said, thou art my power. So in other words, it don't matter what people say, where do your trust lie? Where do your trust lie? And the serpent was telling her, these things is going to open up now. And the Creator going to know this thing over a period of time. So what are you going to do? Let's go to the last one, Proverbs 29 and 11. Proverbs 29 and 11. And it says, a fool, go ahead.
Oh, a fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it until afterwards.
So a fool, you let a person do all the talking. And once when they get finished doing all the talking, then that's when you sit there and say what you're going to say. See, you don't conversate back and forth with them. You let a person do all the talking. And then when they get finished saying what they say, then you conversate. And that's how you're supposed to do things. That's how you're supposed to do things. I'm gonna stop right here. And we're gonna pick up verse 6 for next week. That's gonna be part 5. Any questions? Anybody got anything to say before I close out?
I just want to say that The class was very good, very interesting. Few of the scriptures that you brought out kind of shed some light on some things I never really looked at before. So I enjoyed the class.
All right. I appreciate everybody who came up and was viewing the class. Um, like I say, this is my Sabbath. I'm just sharing it out on social media. If this is your Sabbath, I'm glad that you came in to be a part with me. Rather, if you came up on a panel, you sat back and watched and listened. And if it's not your Sabbath, appreciate you coming in, still listening. But like I say, this is a very topic that we need to very much capture hold of, because the female is engaged with a serpent, and now her mind is challenging the way she supposed to assist her husband. And next week we're gonna go further into this lesson, male and female, the house of witchcraft. This is gonna be part 2, part 5, part B, because we're gonna get into it. That's why I say it's a lot to cover. And if you missed it, go back to part 1. It's on my channel. Go back to part 1. It's just a lot of information. But I promise you, if you get it and you study it, you'll get it. You'll start to understand it. But in the meantime, I thank the Creator for each one of you joining me. May your day continue to be peaceful, restful, and relaxful. This is my Shabbat. I'm going to relax for the rest of my day. And may your week be as pleasant as the sun shines in the sky to give us rain on the time of harvest and allow the seasons to continue to change during the time of its annuity. Other than that, I thank the Creator for each one of you coming in. Until next Shabbat, I say shalom, shalom.